There are updates to the New York City subway shooting, and a drug company has settled a lawsuit relating to West Virginia's opioid epidemic.
3 sailors from an aircraft carrier have been found dead, and President Biden held his first Easter egg hunt at the White House. All this and more right here on WCTV.
And now, your 5 o'clock news on Channel 14.
Welcome back to Channel 14 News.
I'm Jared Weicker.
And I'm Rachel Pellegrino. Waynes University students participated in the Special Olympics Unified Championship last week to raise awareness for the Special Olympics. Micah Leith attended the final night of the event.
Even with Easter break looming, some students couldn't pass up a chance for more fellowship. On Thursday night, Waynesburg University students gathered for the culmination of the Special Olympics Championship Week. The week-long event is held through a partnership with the Special Olympics under the organization's Unified Sports Program. Here at Waynesburg, the week's events took shape quickly.
Yeah, so the planning, we were told a little bit, not very much in advance on what we were going to get involved in. However, we had about a week or so to plan all of these events to kind of get campus involved, community involved, and the Special Olympic athletes.
Over the course of the week, a number of events were held on campus. An inclusive dance lesson was held on Monday, a fun run made a Tuesday trek around campus, and the men's soccer team participated in a unified practice on Wednesday.
The men's soccer team has been great. We've been participating in just about every activity that has been on campus, just really to educate people on what inclusion means and why it's so important.
On Thursday, students who were willing to start Easter break a little later enjoyed a night of games and fellowship at the culmination of the event.
Yeah, it was really nice to finally have some downtime, and it finally feels like the semester is coming to a close. So this is a nice way to kind of start ending things and before we get sent off for break.
In the future, the event planners hope to build on the foundation they laid from this year's event. Reporting for Channel 14, I'm Micah Leith.
Waynesburg University has one of the largest collections of pots in the country, and some of the best of the bunch are now on display in the Benham Fine Arts Department. Brock Owens has more on the story.
We understood that these pots had a significant regional history to them. They had been shown at the Heinz History Center in Pittsburgh in the 1990s, and we thought, well, if they're good enough to be shown in Pittsburgh at Heinz History Center, we should put them on display ourselves.
And that's exactly what happened. Greensboro and New Geneva pottery is being shown in the Benham Fine Arts Department in an exhibit that will stay until September 2nd.
Had a lot of really big pots.
He's got that right, but some of the small pots are just as impressive.
This is one of my favorite pieces. It was produced by E.A. Hicks, and his name is on it. The other name on there is N.S. McBee, and I looked it up. They were both veterans of the Civil War, and they were related. So it looks like Hicks made this as a gift to McBee.
Everything in this exhibit has a story, from small to large to the one that couldn't even be here.
We call it Gus because Gus Brill, it seems like he is the creator of this pot. The insurance company said, we can insure all of these pieces except this one. For this one, you have to keep it in a vault. And that's how we're going to insure it for you.
There's even a documentary about the pieces.
Surrounded by history and this dog. For WCTV, I'm Brock Owens.
That's all for campus and local news. When we come back, we'll have news from around the nation.
There are updates to the New York City subway shooting that occurred last week. Karen Kafa covered the story.
The manhunt for 62-year-old Frank James came to an end Wednesday, nearly 30 hours after he allegedly opened fire in a Brooklyn subway.
I cannot thank the men and women of the New York City Police Department enough, as well as our federal agents, our state police.
Law enforcement sources say James called in a tip to the city's Crime Stoppers hotline that he was at a McDonald's in Manhattan's East Village. He was arrested without incident.
We were able to shrink his world quickly. There was nowhere left for him to run.
Police have not specified a motive, but James has been linked to disturbing videos online talking about violence and mass shootings. In this new video obtained by WNBC, James, wearing an orange vest and hard hat, can be seen using his Metro card to enter the subway station before the attack, carrying a roller bag and a backpack. Authorities believe James visited a storage unit in Philadelphia the night before the attack, where investigators found more ammunition and weapons. Sources say the gun investigators recovered at the scene was found to be purchased by the suspect in Ohio in 2011, and the gas mask was traced back to the suspect through an eBay account. With the suspect in custody, relief for New Yorkers.
I'm glad they caught the guy, and I believe in the police department doing their job, because they really did a good job of it. Kept everything calm.
In Brooklyn, New York, I'm Karen Kafa.
The 126th running of the Boston Marathon took place yesterday, Patriots Day, on April 18th. This year's marathon featured participants from all 50 states and 122 countries around the world. As Matt Reed reports, the runners can't wait for the starting gun.
It's an annual pilgrimage for those running the marathon, walking down a packed Boylston Street to take a photo at the finish line.
I have done it 13 times, but I have not been back here in 15 years.
For some of those like me, it's our first chance to run Boston after 6 years of blood, sweat, and tears.
It truly is a family affair, especially for the first-timers, including Saugus's very own Casey Hyde.
Growing up, because it's always school vacation, so I always had the day off and stuff, always watching it on TV.
The history and magnitude of this race just as powerful for the pros. Including American Molly Seidel, who lived in Boston for nearly 5 years after college and won bronze in the 2020 Summer Games in Tokyo.
It's really meaningful, feeling like I'm coming home, getting to be on a course that I trained on so much and watched every year. Kind of learned how to be a pro runner out here and just got immersed in just everything that is Boston running. It's what made me move to the marathon, honestly.
And while Seidel may have a home field advantage, every runner should get a boost from these crowds.
Watching my mom do a marathon.
Oliver, what's that like being out here? Who have been waiting 3 years for the marathon to return to Patriots Day.
Every time I go on a workout, I'm running for Boston. I'm going to get to Boston. So I've been training for it for a long time.
I appreciate all the people of Boston, and y'all definitely know how to make your marathons feel like rock stars.
The race got underway 9 a.m. yesterday morning. It's the first time in 3 years the marathon has returned to its traditional springtime Patriots Day holiday slot. Perez Jepchirchir won the women's race and Evans Chebet won the men's race. Both runners are from Kenya.
President Biden hosted his first White House Easter egg roll Monday morning. The event hasn't been held since 2019 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Officials expected around 30,000 people to be on hand throughout the day, taking part in the celebration. The theme for the 142nd White House Easter egg roll is Egg-ucation, featuring activities geared towards learning. The president thanked the White House Historical Association, National Park Service, and the American Egg Board for helping plan the festivities. President Biden wasn't the only authority figure celebrating Easter this past Sunday. Pope Francis celebrated Easter Sunday Mass at St. Peter's. That was the first time St. Francis gave Mass there with a large crowd since the pandemic began. For Catholics, it's a joyous day commemorating the resurrection of Jesus after his crucifixion, the victory of life over death. The Pope condemned the cruelty of the war in Ukraine at the Easter Vigil Mass he attended on Saturday. Janssen Pharmaceuticals reaches a $99 million settlement for the company's alleged role in West Virginia's opioid crisis. That state's attorney general claimed the pharmaceutical giant and its parent company, Johnson & Johnson, persuaded doctors to prescribe opioids more frequently, saying that they were safe and more effective than other drugs. Attorneys say this helped spike opioid use for chronic pain issues, eventually leading to a rise in fatal overdoses. This settlement is subject to approval from the state's political subdivisions, and cities and counties will get a lump sum payment. Johnson & Johnson settled with the state of New York last year for $230 million for a similar situation.
The Navy says 3 sailors from the USS George Washington aircraft carrier have been found dead in less than a week. One of them, who has not been identified, was found unresponsive on board the nuclear-powered carrier last Friday. The first sailor found on April 9th was identified as Retail Services Specialist 3rd Class Mikhail Sharp. Another sailor who was found on April 10th was identified as Interior Communications Electrician 3rd Class Natasha Huffman. A Navy spokeswoman says there is no initial indication suggesting there is a correlation between the 3 cases. The Navy did not give a cause of death for any of the sailors. The Naval Criminal Investigative Service and local authorities are investigating the deaths. Thousands of nurses and healthcare workers took to the picket lines in California to protest suffering and staffing and safety issues. The California Nurses Association says over 8,000 members took part in a one-day strike across the northern part of the state Monday. The workers were MIA at 18 Sutter Health locations. The union claims they have been negotiating with Sutter Health for a new contract since last year, and the facility refuses to address concerns about staffing and pandemic-related health protections. In a statement, Sutter Health said it does offer competitive wages and pandemic protections. Negotiations are expected to continue with a federal mediator. Earlier this week, the Biden administration issued a controversial mandate that required masks to be worn on all forms of public transportation. There's been some pushback, especially in Florida. A Trump-appointed federal judge has overturned the White House mask mandate for airlines and other public transportation. The U.S. District Judge in Florida ruled Monday that the mandate is unlawful and exceeds the authority of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The White House press secretary called the ruling disappointing and said the CDC is reviewing the decision. The Department of Justice has not said if it will try to appeal the ruling. The mask mandate required passengers on airlines, trains, and other public transportation to wear a face covering. Last week, the CDC extended it through May 3rd. Officials pointed to the recent rise in COVID-19 cases in the U.S. as part of the reason for the extension. 3 U.S. airlines did not waste time moving their mask policies to optional after the court ruling. Late Monday, Delta, United, and Alaska Airlines said masks are no longer required on their domestic flights. Alaska Airlines says passengers who were banned because of the old policy will still be prohibited from its flights. That's all we have for national news. When we come back, we'll have your business and entertainment update with Caleb Yager. But first, we have Brock Owens outside with a brief weather update.
The weather today, maybe not what you would expect in April. The temperature's going to go up throughout the week, and this weekend should be beautiful. Stay tuned because later in the show, I'll have a full weather forecast for you.
Hello and welcome back. I'm Caleb Yager with your business and entertainment update. The right-wing media outlet InfoWars is supposedly bankrupt. The controversial media organization filed for bankruptcy protection in a Texas court Sunday. Court documents alleged its estimated assets are valued at less than $50,000, but its liabilities are between $1 and $10 million. InfoWars is facing lawsuits tied to its owner, Alex Jones. The conspiracy theorist was found legally responsible for damages caused by his claims that the 2012 Sandy Hook mass shooting was staged. 26 people were killed in the deadly shooting. Jones has since acknowledged the attack was real, and in a 2019 sworn deposition said a form of psychosis caused him to make the claim. InfoWars is one of 3 companies connected to Jones now seeking bankruptcy protection. Jones's other fringe outlet, Prison Planet, and his store, InfoWars Health, also filed on Sunday. Well, Love and Thunder are in the air at Marvel Studios after yesterday's announcement. Marvel Studios has finally released a trailer for its mysterious summer blockbuster, Thor, Love and Thunder. The highly anticipated film stars Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Chris Pratt as Peter Quill, and Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie. The teaser promises familiar antics from the Avenger and his crew, but doesn't reveal much about the plot. It starts with Thor saying he's given up superheroing and he wants to find out more about himself. But clearly, some kind of intergalactic evil lures Thor out of retirement. The trailer ends with a first look at Natalie Portman's Jane Foster as a female Thor. Thor Love and Thunder is set for release on July 8th. Well, it's tax season, and this year, the IRS says some Americans may get smaller refunds than they expected, and that those checks or direct deposits could be delayed. And if you're expecting a refund this year, experts warn against impulse spending. In today's Consumer Watch, the 3 refund moves one expert says could help you advance with your financial goals.
If you're expecting a tax refund this year, your payment could be smaller and come later than usual. The IRS says it's dealing with major processing lags, so if you filed your tax return electronically, it may take the IRS longer than the usual 21 days to issue a refund. For some families, that refund is their biggest cash infusion of the year. So, should you save it or spend it? Financial expert Ted Jenkin has these 3 money moves to help maximize your finances. Number 1, with rising interest rates, experts recommend you use that refund to pay off debt.
I mean, not all debt. You know, there's a lot of things now like auto loans and in some cases mortgages that people locked in at 1 or 2 or 3%. So I wouldn't use that money to pay that off. But if you have high interest credit card debt, absolutely.
According to IRS data, the average tax refund issued so far this tax season is $3,175. Because many Americans already got half of their child tax credit funds in monthly installments during the second half of last year, they'll likely get smaller refunds this year. Which brings us to money move number 2, build an emergency reserve. You'll want to set aside an amount that covers you for at least 3 months, preferably 6 months.
We often think, I'm not going to lose my job, my car won't break down, I won't have a water heater blow up in my house, but these things happen.
And number 3, set aside some cash for fun, whether it's a staycation or going out to a nice restaurant, concert, or sporting event.
So splurge a little if you have some extra money.
For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Yesterday was the deadline to file your taxes, but remember, you can file for an extension, which gives you an extra 6 months to get their returns in by October 17th. Time for your movie news with a little music thrown in. Here's David Daniel with today's Hollywood Minute.
I didn't have to walk into music as a profession because it was a part of the fabric of everyday life.
Grammy winner Jon Batiste is set to make his feature acting debut. He'll play charming, debonair piano man Grady in the big screen musical adaptation of The Color Purple, scheduled to arrive in theaters in December of 2023.
Across the multiverse, I've seen thousands of Evelyns.
But there's only one Michelle Yeoh. The star of Everything Everywhere All at Once is drawing raves from critics, audiences, and co-star Jamie Lee Curtis.
We all know that the only person in the world who could do this movie is Michelle Yeoh.
But
we all just watched her do it.
But
in real time.
But I couldn't have done it without you.
Okay, but that's fine. I understand. But
without Stephanie and James.
Yes, everybody's great in the movie. I totally agree with you. The movie is you.
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
And that's it for business and entertainment. Stick around because after the break, we have Riley Holsinger with your Waynesburg Sports Update.
Have you ever been to the Everly Library? If not, you should, because it's great. They have books of all different genres: history, biography, fiction. Try The Evolution of Life, Life of Pi, or Jurassic Park. So what if books aren't your thing? Try movies like Frozen, or TV shows like Lost. Books and DVDs aren't the only thing though. Take a trip to the second floor. Welcome to the Writing Center. These tutors will tell you everything you need to know about writing a paper, and they'll help revise your essays. Now let's head back down. Behold, the Knox Learning Center. Need to print something out 5 minutes before your next class because you procrastinated? no problem. You can also print off pictures of dogs, because, well, you can. So grab your homework, laptop, and textbook, and study diligently. Bring your lunch too. Actually, you can't. That's illegal. Now you know the Everly Library. Stop by anytime. Seriously, it's open all week.
Hello and welcome into your Channel 14 Sports Report. I'm Riley Holsinger. The Waynesburg eSports program has been developing over the past year with new addition after new addition. Waynesburg Athletic Director Adam Jack announced that there will be another new addition in naming Matt Pioch as the program's first head coach and director. Pioch was formerly the Dean of Student Services and served as a coach on the women's basketball team. Sticking with new additions here, Adam Jack also announced last week that the locker rooms at John F. Wiley Stadium will be renovated. The Yellow Jacket softball team is currently hosting a doubleheader against Grove City College. The Lady Jackets ended up winning the first game 11-2. They're currently playing the second one right now. The team split a doubleheader last Thursday against Geneva, the reigning President's Athletic Conference champions. The Waynesburg baseball team was supposed to play a doubleheader today against Geneva. However, that game got pushed back to tomorrow. Games getting postponed seems to be the theme so far this season with the baseball team. First pitch tomorrow afternoon is at 2:30. The Waynesburg track and field team sent small crews to Greenville, Pennsylvania this past Saturday for the Teal College Invitational. Despite the small crew, both teams made some big noise at the meet. Kat Henderson won the long jump for the second week in a row. Freshman Megan Berry won first in javelin. Michaela Rose finished second in the 200 and 100-meter dashes. And then on the men's side, Isaac Huey followed Berry's footsteps and placed first in javelin. Cole Thick and Aiden Sheely claimed bronze in their respective events. The team competes on Friday at the Mountaineer Showcase hosted by West Virginia University. This upcoming Saturday, the men's and women's golf teams tee off in the PAC Championships held at Ogilvie and Wheeling, West Virginia. That's all for sports. Stick around to Channel 14 News for your full weather report with Brock Owens.
You're watching WCTV, where we aim to bring you the best local coverage of what you care about most. Everything from local businesses to hometown sports and the latest weather. We're keeping up to date with what you need to know about issues that affect our campus and our community. We're telling the stories that matter, celebrating our past, our future, and our potential. So tune in for all the latest buzz right here on WCTV Channel 14, Waynesburg.
Welcome back. I'm Brock Owens with your extended weather forecast. Today was another day that makes you question if it's nearing the end of April. The high was 36 degrees, and yes, it snowed. Tonight, the temperature will get down to 29, but there shouldn't be any precipitation. That should continue tomorrow when the temp goes up to 46 degrees, but with a temperature in a low of 40. The temperature rise continues into Thursday with a high of 55 and a low of 47. But make sure to grab your umbrella because it's going to be a rainy one. Friday is kicking off with a weekend of 64 degrees high and 48 degree low with no precipitation. Saturday should be very similar, getting up to 64 degrees with a low of 52. Some rain might sneak in, but if it does, there shouldn't be too much. And Sunday is going to be a beauty. 72 degrees is the high, and it should be clear skies. Hopefully we can get some sun this weekend because it feels like it's been a while since we've had a sunny day. And taking a peek into next week, Monday's high sits at 71 degrees with a low of 53 and basically no chance of rain. I personally can't wait to enjoy this weekend weather, but for now, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. And for the last time this semester, that's your Channel 14 extended forecast.
Thanks, Brock. And of course, the last show of the semester, and for us seniors here, well, it's been quite a year.
Yeah, I mean, given that it's our last show of the semester, our producer Rebecca Vaughn would like to extend a thank you to all cast and crew who participated in the newscast this past year. She would also like to thank all of you, the viewers, who supported the show throughout the semester and throughout the academic year. The newscast will continue next semester under the supervision of Tim Durkin. But until next year, this has been the newscast on Channel 14 News.
This has been a production of Waynesburg Community Television.